I'm sure many of you are aware of the 2004 incident involving the USS Nimitz. During a pre-planned exercise off the Baja Peninsula over a 6-day period, multiple assets within the strike group reported these very strange anomalous craft appearing in the region. Now, for the Navy, that's a big deal. In fact, it was such a big deal that they dispatched F-18, flights of F-18s, to go intercept whatever this was, get a visual on it, and determine whether it was a threat. That makes this incident very, very different than any other UFO incident on record. The Navy went out of its way to go and find this thing and determine what it was. Now, they came away with more questions than they had answers. The craft had the ability to go from the surface, literally 5 feet above the ocean, to 60,000 feet and move in ways that the pilots described as impossible. Now, in the report, they said something that got me thinking, and it has to do with our recent investigation into these laser tests over the United States. I'll give you the link to the report down in the first pinned comment. It's a long report. It's 13 pages. This is the bullet point. The Anomalous Aerial Vehicle, AAV, which is how the military is referring to UFOs now, was no known aircraft or air vehicle, you ready for this, currently in the inventory of the United States or any foreign nation. See, the language here is really important. The AAV exhibited advanced low observable characteristics at multiple radar bands, rendering U.S. radar-based engagement capabilities ineffective. The AAV exhibited advanced aerodynamic performance with no visible control surfaces and no visible means to generate lift. The AAV exhibited advanced propulsion capability by demonstrating the ability to remain stationary with little to no variation in altitude, transitioning to horizontal and/or vertical velocities far greater than any known aerial vehicle with little to no visible signature. Now, here's the part that everyone needs to pay attention to. The AAV possibly demonstrated the ability to cloak or become invisible to the human eye or human observation. Possibly demonstrated as well highly advanced capability to operate undersea completely undetectable by our most advanced sensors. Now, what does that have to do with the recent investigation into the lasers? What may have been observed by the Nimitz could have been some type of cloaking technology. Now, I know a lot of people are like, wait a minute, cloaking makes you invisible, but wait a minute. Does it have to? Does it have to? All you would need to do is, from your enemy, hide what's really there. And you can make them see whatever you want to. What if that was the case here? And what technology could be employed to bend light that way? Another thing that makes this very believable about these craft is that we see here from the gun camera footage on the F-18, we see this image with the sky in the background. We see the same image here from above with the sea in the background. Now, this has been going on for quite some time. And recently, we saw these anomalous flashes that occurred. It was a Dutchins video where he was looking at shortwave infrared imagery, and these appeared. And they occurred, strangely, over known military facilities. We've covered this in the last two videos, 138th in Oklahoma, 118th in Tennessee, 53rd Weapons Evaluation Group in Florida, and a little-known NASA facility called Chennault Field. Light can be bent. Lasers can be bent. This is a technology that we have in public today. The ability to make you see something that isn't there. Now, in this case, they do the very best they can to mimic what's behind this panel. I'm sure some of you are still confused. They looked like Tic Tac craft. They didn't look invisible. That's all you need to hide from your enemy is what's really there. Now, we're going to shift gears for just a minute. Who recognizes this image? This is off the coast of California, very near to where this all took place with the Nimitz. This has been referred to as a UFO base or off of Santa Barbara. It's actually closer to Oxnard, California. It's underwater. It's right off the coast. It's called the Malibu anomaly. That's what it's called. 250 feet below the surface. The bottom part, 1,800 feet. It's been all over YouTube, and I'll give you links to different discussions about it. But what isn't very well known about this anomaly that looks like a UFO base is it's very, very close to a Navy base called Point Mugu. Now, Navy's only directed energy lab on a sea test range breaks ground at NBVC Point Mugu. Naval Base Ventura County has just opened up a directed energy weapons research facility at Point Mugu. Now, here's where we put everything together. This is off Science News from August 6th of this year. The announcement from the Navy was May 6th. Okay, May 6th, they open up directed energy in California research. August 6th, 3 months later. University of Central Florida researchers have developed a new type of laser beam that doesn't follow long-held principles about how light refracts and travels. The findings, which were published recently in Nature Photonics, could have huge implications for optical communication and laser technologies. Quote, this new class of laser beam has unique properties that are not shared by common laser beams, says Ayman Abaradi, professor UCF, College of Optics and Photonics, and the study's principal investigator. The beams, known as space-time wave packets, follow different rules when they refract. That is, when they pass through different materials, normally light slows down when it travels into denser materials. Basically, this idea. Anybody ever taken a spoon, put it in a glass of water, and looked at it from the side? It's like, hey, why is the spoon offset? It has to do with how light travels through water versus air. Many people don't think, you can't bend a laser. Of course you could bend a laser. You just use water. You can absolutely do it. There's pictures all over the internet of guys doing this. So the curvature of the Earth here wouldn't stop the laser test, especially if they were at altitude. That wouldn't be a big deal. They would have the ability to compensate. But there's part of this that gets really scary. They call this type of laser space-time wave packets. The beams, known as space-time wave packets, follow different rules. And here's the most important quote from this article. As such, these pulses of light can arrive at different points in space at the same time. However, by manipulating the way that they create these pulses of light, they can make the converse be true as well. Meaning the sentence would read as such. These pulses of light can arrive at the same point in space at different times. Meaning they can fire lasers through time. They can fire lasers through time. That's big. Now, what does this all have to do with the original thing we were talking about, the Tic Tac craft? If there were an advanced civilization and they wanted to not be seen, personally, I think there's one in Antarctica. That's where these craft are coming from, and they are light years ahead of us. All they want to do is not be seen from the ground. What better way to do that than perhaps make whatever your craft looks like look like a cloud? You see people see it in a blue sky like this and go, well, I wouldn't miss that. That looks exactly like a UFO. So does that. I wouldn't miss that. What if the sky looked like this? What if the sky looked like this? I mean, maybe if you were staring up at it long enough, maybe, just maybe, what we're looking at here, the craft itself, isn't a tic-tac. It doesn't, fly around as a tic-tac. What's being seen here is light being bent. It's a cloaking technology that hides what's actually there. And the shape of it and the color of it would go right along with the theory of just hiding from your enemies or hiding from people that you don't want to be seen by. Because think about it, every time, and even in the Navy report, it confirms this. Every time there is some attempt to interdict or chase these craft, do they turn and fight? No, they absolutely don't. They leave. Given the level of their technology, I think if they wanted us gone, we'd be gone. All they want is to not be seen. And if it appears as if they've been seen, they leave. That is the MO every single time. And you look at the color, you look at the shape. It looks like some type of a limited cloak. Maybe they don't have the ability to go completely invisible. But if you can make yourself just look like a cloud, that would be really all that's necessary to go undetected. But what's happening with the military now is they are advancing detection technology to the point where the craft itself, the FA-18 or the F-35 or whatever craft they're using, isn't going to be the method that they use to track the craft. What do I mean by that? There's a new thing being developed with the Space Force called JEDI. Basically, the idea is this. They are going to use Elon Musk's Starlink network to track everything in our skies. Everything. All the time, in real time. There's a thing called the Doppler notch that if a craft is traveling from left to right, perpendicular in front of a craft using pulse technology, radar, it can basically disappear because the radar filters out things that aren't closing quickly, meaning it's not coming to it very fast, it's not going away from it very fast. It's maintaining distance. And clearly these craft have the ability to do that, to drop off our radars. Well, if it's being tracked from above by multiple satellites, there's no Doppler notch. The problem with that is the connectivity in real time. That's been the limit before. Well, with Starlink, that all goes out the window. Navy ships, submarines, aircraft, assets on the ground are all going to have information about their enemy in real time, not from their own discrete detecting devices, but from above. And that's what's going to change the game with this. That's why these laser tests are so critical. What they're testing is the real-time ability of the satellites to give the information to the assets so that it can basically affect its mission. I know that sounds like a lot of gobbledygook, but if you can launch a drone over Florida and you can intercept it with some type of an advanced drone that's over Tennessee, using tracking data from a satellite. That changes warfighting completely, and this is the definition of Space Force. You wouldn't be slaved to the equipment aboard your aircraft or aboard the drone to do the tracking. That's what I think we're seeing, and that's why it's showing up in satellite data. That's why it's being picked up from high above. Because the energy levels would have to be incredible. And I'll say it again, you can use water to bend light. Gravity bends light. We've known this for a long time. Even Einstein observed this. So that's not even out of our realm of technology. Imagine these people, whoever these beings are. This would be the real game changer. When these appeared, when we could start tracking them in real time without even having to send a plane. You wouldn't even have to send a plane to track them, because the visuals would be less accurate than what Starlink is seeing. So this is the connection to this incident. The white amorphous blob that was seen was simply a rudimentary attempt at cloaking, at what's really there. And if they can burn through that and find out what these craft really are, that would definitely change things. They wouldn't just show up as some weird heat signature on a FLIR. We could see what they're doing, why they're here, probably extrapolate from that why they're here. And then also, more importantly, find out where they're coming from. Because once we can track them in the air, it's only a matter of time when we can track them underwater. It's only a matter of time. If we can see where they enter the water, we can do the same thing with underwater detection technology. Dispatch submarines to the region. And mark my words, it's all going to end up at Antarctica. Guarantee it. Because what better place to hide? What better place to hide than there? So anyway, I will leave it there for you guys. That was what today's video was all about. Point Mugu. Point Mugu, right where this happened. Just to show you guys real quick where Mugu is. Right here, Point Mugu. Here's that anomalous underwater base. This is where they're testing the directed energy weapons. And where this all happened with the Nimitz was right here. Just south of our border, just off the Baja, right in this region. I don't think the proximity of these two locations is any kind of an accident. So, anyway, like I said, I'll leave it there. God bless y'all. I sure appreciate all the support. Join us on Twitch. Support us on Teespring. All sorts of different things you can get there. And every night, 8:30 to about 11:30, we've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, trying to open up a new chapter talking about the fate of Atlantis, hoping that can maybe answer some questions as well. But it's also a lot of fun. So anyway, we will see you next time. Thank you.